Denver schools pledged to bring back police and more mental health help. Want to guess which one of those two didn't happen?
We need the mayor and City Hall to step up and help us.
Property taxes could soon skyrocket unless the state legislature acts. Democrats there just handed the governor his biggest loss in years. We're rafting the river that dried up to a trickle 2 summers ago. And a small town's park has sat unfinished for almost 20 years. Tonight, we're going to have a hand in changing that, because this is next. The plan to improve safety at Denver Public Schools called for armed police and more mental health professionals in schools following the East High shooting. Well, the police officers are there now, but the district has not hired any additional therapists or psychologists. DPS tells our Mark Salinger, no one wants the job this close to the end of the school year.
2 shootings in less than 2 months at East High School brought the promise of quick change.
We will have 2 armed officers here at East until the end of the school year.
The school resource officer, Superintendent Alex Marrero, promised, soon arrived at East and high schools around the district. But there was more to the plan that hasn't panned out.
The caveat was that we're not only bringing cops back, but that we're going to add mental health professionals.
School Board Vice President Aonte Anderson led the push to take school resource officers out of the classroom in 2020. On March 23rd of this year, he and the rest of the Board of Education signed this memo directing the superintendent to bring armed police officers back to schools. It also asked that mental health professionals come with them. A month later, and with only a month left in school, the psychologists and therapists have not arrived. If you had known that school resource officers would be brought in, but mental health professionals would not, would you still have supported the memo?
No, I would not have. And it's because our mental health professionals are key. We need to be able to make sure that we have safety alongside mental health professionals.
Anderson and Board President Xochitl Gaitan don't agree on much. But today, they both say it's not the district's fault that mental health professionals haven't been hired. Gaitan tells us the district can't even fill its regularly allotted mental health positions, as well as the additional positions requested by the board. She places the blame on a limited pool of candidates. The district is now offering a $2,000 signing bonus to help fill the jobs. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think that one of the issues is that Denver is an unaffordable place to live. They can't work and live in the same city that we're asking them to be a part of.
Anderson also says the mayor's office has not been willing to provide funding for additional mental health positions. Mayor's office, Mayor Hancock's office, says they're actively trying to get that funding, and the allegations from Anderson are, quote, untrue and the latest in a string of falsehoods by Director Anderson. Kyle, we asked DPS if anyone has even applied for these positions. They were not able to tell us.
I mean, if you are a mental health professional in the state of Colorado right now, I mean, this is like a Jerry Maguire moment for you. I mean, there
are no shortage of jobs.
Yeah.
We've seen this before. Think of Aurora Police, for example. They were trying to hire people for their crisis response team. They weren't able to do that for months. Think of the state hospitals for mental health.
Yep.
They need nurses and doctors as well there. This is just the latest in a string of more mental health professionals that are needed pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it's not surprising we're in this situation. The question is, why was the promise made in the first place if there's no ability?
If it's unattainable.
Yeah, all right, Mark, thank you. Complete Democratic control of the state legislature this year does not mean that progressives are able to pass all their priorities. Take, for instance, this afternoon, the rejection of supervised drug use sites. Democrats did not have the votes to get that bill out of committee today. The idea of adding a supervised drug use site in Denver is kind of a moot issue anyway, because while Denver City Council approved that a few years ago, hasn't gone anywhere because they didn't get state legislative approval, and both candidates for the runoff for mayor oppose having a supervised use site. Chances are your next property tax bill is going to be significantly higher, like 20, 30, 40% higher than last year's bill. A group of 9 county assessors from the metro area got together today trying to get people's attention on this. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger explains why it's happening and what state legislators could do about it.
Property values get reassessed every 2 years, but what you pay is based on the past. Your property tax bill next year is based on home values and assessments from 2021 and half of 2022. You know, when home prices were outrageous.
If the state lawmakers don't act immediately on this, then it will be a crisis.
in my opinion.
The Douglas County assessor said home values in that county rose 47%. Denver saw a 33% increase, and that is the lowest in the metro area. Here's why it matters for you. Let's look at a $500,000 home in Denver. Your home's taxable value was based on this equation. The taxable value is multiplied by the mill levies, which fund school districts, cities, counties, parks and rec, police and fire, that kind of stuff. In this example, this homeowner paid $2,763 in property taxes this year. Next year, since property values increased 33%, this number goes up. But last year, the state legislature did a temporary fix, making $15,000 tax-free and then reducing the assessment rate. So right now, if the state legislature does nothing more, this homeowner should expect to pay almost $3,500 in property tax, an increase of $733. But what I just showed you may get scribbled out, and lawmakers may come up with a new equation before you pay next year's bill.
Now, somebody is going to tell me there's only 10 days left in the legislative session. That's true. But there are lots of opportunities between now and December that the legislature can avail themselves of.
So that is a strong hint that the governor might call a special session of the legislature. Basically, the governor assigns them a topic or topics to work on and calls them back. That would happen after the end of the legislative session in 12 days. Any discussion on the state level is likely going to include how the state would cover the shortfall to cities and counties and schools and libraries if property taxes are reduced for everyone. Centrist Democrats at the state capitol have gutted Governor Polis's signature proposal for this legislative session. His housing crisis bill has been stripped of the zoning changes that would have brought more density to cities.
We need to bring our land use policy into the 21st century and prepare ourselves for success these next 150 years. We need more housing now.
That policy proposal during his State of the State address. The bills that he supported would have set new zoning standards. They would have kept cities from limiting multifamily housing in certain neighborhoods. It would have encouraged new housing construction near transit. Basically, it would have given the state say in what is currently a city and county issue. Well, guess what? Leaders in cities and counties, Republicans and Democrats, didn't like this. Now, Democrats at the state capitol don't need a single Republican vote to pass anything if the Democratic caucus holds together. But it came apart on this, and that sunk the governor's plan. Centrist Democrats forced changes to this bill to preserve local control of zoning. In fact, the governor's office would not even directly tell us today if he would sign off on this bill if his sweeping land use reform gets watered down into basically just, do a study or something. So there's a turnoff south of Pueblo on I-25 that'll take you into the Greenhorn Valley, to the small town of Colorado City, where the only park in that town has sat partially completed for almost 20 years. Funding ran out, so it was never finished. Colorado City is not a wealthy community, but the people there are determined to build out that park. They've been raising money any way that they can, and I was thinking that we could help. Your 150th Word of Thanks microgiving campaign is supporting the nonprofit Valley First as they work to finish Colorado City's only park. So right now, you see that asphalt track up in the top of the picture, and there's a bunch of rodent holes and rattlesnakes living in the unfinished ball field. Valley First plans to install turf there and goalposts and bleachers, make it a place for the community to gather for a game. Then the next phase of their plan calls for a new Little League field so that the younger kids have a place to play. They've got a ball field, but they limit the time for mostly the older kids. And then the last phase of this park project would be refurbishing the playground to make it safe and building out the trails all around the park. The people of Colorado City are going to transform that partially usable eyesore that they have into a safe and welcoming gathering place for their whole community, so the families aren't driving 30 miles to Pueblo for youth sports all the time. Valley First is trying to raise $800,000. That is not easy for a small town without a ton of resources. But they have already come up with more than $600,000 in donations and grants lined up. They've got about $150,000 to go. So let's go and see if we can take a chunk out of that for them. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to get that link to donate. You have proven the power of $5 donations. So as always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us started. I'm excited for the people of Colorado City to finally have a usable park in their community. And it'll be fun for the rest of us to pull off the highway down there and go see the park that you built. Voters are told to pick just one candidate on a ballot with just one candidate. So how much did this cost? and rafting down a troubled river that's nearly disappeared before.
We'd rather not wait until they're gone.
Down the Dolores we go, next. Tonight's next question comes from a viewer named Harry. He got this mail ballot from South Metro Fire District with just one candidate and a note to pick just one candidate. Harry wants to know why the district bothered printing ballots at all. A few of you asked that, folks in South Metro Fire District, so Arapahoe, Douglas, and Jefferson County. They have 4 director seats up for election. Only one of those races is contested. The district says correctly that it cannot call off the elections in the other 3 districts because state law does not allow a district to partially cancel an election. So they have to go ahead with the full thing that costs $500,000. South Metro could, in the future, decide to switch to at-large elections rather than districts, so every voter would weigh in on every seat. There are a whole bunch of mayors in town this week. The first ever City Summit of the Americas kicked off today, gathering mayors from around the country and the world. A delegation of Ukrainian mayors is here. Today they were talking to DU students about the work of rebuilding and recovery as the war in their country continues. Igor Terekov is the mayor of Kharkiv, the second largest city in Ukraine. Terekov says his city has been repeatedly bombed and said that 50% of the schools have been destroyed. Yet they continue to resist.
Ми воюємо і відстоюємо демократичні цінності, демократичні інституції.
We're fighting to keep democratic value and democratic institution in our.
І це дуже важливо.
And it is very important.
While on campus, the Ukrainian mayors met with DU faculty from the Party Center for International Futures. Researchers there are working on a modeling system that would forecast change and development in more than 150 countries.
Last night's storm system certainly delivered. Heavy rain across the Denver metro area, some decent snowfall up in the mountains, and as fast as it rolled in, it's now long gone. As we have some clouds out there, a little bit of sunshine peeking through, it's now just off to the south and to the east of Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas, dealing with the heavy rains as we're watching it all winding down off to the southeastern plains. Up into the high country areas right there along the spine of the Continental Divide, a couple of isolated snow showers. Otherwise, tomorrow we get a brief break before yet again another storm system will dive into the state. I want to time it out for you. Here we are about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. We wake up to partly cloudy skies. Should have a dry day until about 6, 7 o'clock when some scattered rain showers move into the metro area. Snowfall up in the mountains. We're talking some decent rain showers, I should say, by about 10 o'clock with the potential for it to switch over to snow by 2 o'clock on Friday morning. Doesn't last long. By 6 o'clock a.m., it's already long gone. So yes, buckle up. We have one more storm ahead of us before a really nice weekend. Snowfall amounts looking pretty impressive up in the mountains, about 4 to 8 inches. Really nothing here in Denver. Highs tomorrow, back to the upper 60s we go. Some spots in the low 70s off to the eastern plains, 40s, low 50s up in the mountains. Yes, that cold front means business. A quick rain snow mix early on Friday, highs in the low 50s, and then we bounce back 70s on deck for the weekend.
2 years ago, the Dolores River almost ran dry. Filmmakers take us on a trip down the river to show us the challenge of keeping it flowing. Next. The Dolores has seen better days, and worse ones for sure. 2 summers ago, that river in southwest Colorado was barely a trickle. In 2021, the river was at its lowest point in recorded history. At the spot where it crosses into Utah, the flow was measured at a near standstill, 0 cubic feet per second. Even in the parts of the Dolores with water, people were asked not to fish because the fish were just trying to survive that summer in hot pockets of water. The Dolores is flowing again, but it's far from healthy. 2 filmmakers rafted down the Dolores to show us the challenges of a river's recovery.
The Dolores River, that river is being pushed to its brink.
The River of Sorrows is a name that the Spaniards gave the Dolores River in 1776 when they first ran across it. The story is about 2 pack rafters who were going down a river that has this outstanding reputation in Western in the western U.S. For a multi-day river trip, it's one of the longest ones you can do outside of the Grand Canyon, except you just can't do it every year because there's a dam on the river.
The effort we put in to spend multiple nights down the river, no one else would do that.
It can go sometimes up to 4 or 5 years without flowing. So these two people decide to go down the river to see for themselves what it's like on these years without water.
This year we're seeing an amazing year for the Dolores River after 3 years of extreme drought, which has been really hard on the river and surrounding agricultural communities.
You know, our state is changing rapidly, and we know from history if we don't take action to protect these resources that there's a good chance we might lose them, and so we'd rather not wait until they're gone.
So I think the film does a great job of visualizing the landscape. You know, incredible cinematography from the headwaters all the way down to the confluence with the Colorado River. So it really visualizes the amazing values on the land, starting in the headwaters near Telluride and then flowing down to the Colorado River near Moab, Utah.
So the message is to simply show the outstanding values that are present in this place. And this is open lands, wildlife habitat, outstanding country that really defines and inspires who we are as a people and what we love to do.
River of Sorrows premieres tonight in Boulder. Before that, Protect the Dolores Film Project tours the state. It's a sign that it's time to go to the DMV and just pay up already. We've all seen the expired temp tags on the road, stuff that expired a week ago, a month ago, sometimes a year ago. I don't even know what this is. This is not even trying anymore. And if you're law enforcement and you pass that, you're just like, yeah, all right. Rhonda spotted this car in Castle Rock, torn tag, flapping in the breeze. This is just an invitation to pull you over. But don't worry about it, man. It's cool. We will pay for Colorado's roads. You enjoy your free ride. Our project to finish a small town's only park, and your feedback next. Drive south through Pueblo, then turn west into the Wet Mountains, and you'll pass through Colorado City. It's a small town where the people who live there are determined that they are going to finish the town's only park. It's a project that stalled out almost 20 years ago, and it's left them with this barely usable field and track around it. So the nonprofit Valley First has raised more than $600,000 in donations and grants lined up. They are almost to their $800,000 goal. So your 150th Word of Thanks microgiving campaign, 150 straight weeks, is going to be able to help finish this project. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491. If you can chip in $5, that's fantastic. $10, even better. We'd love to have you join me in donating to Valley First. We're going to help that town build that park. They are determined to have a place for their kids to play safely and a spot for families to gather for town events. Elaine Farrell loves it. She says, such a great project for us next viewers. We've done a couple of these in the past where it's helping to build a physical project. We don't do a ton of these, but I know that you've loved them in the past, and this one just kind of jumped out at me. Carol in Delta says, welcome back, but I missed the beard. Was nice while it lasted. So was my time off. The beard and my time off. Two things that are now over. But I will see you next time.